Good evening, my dear friends. I welcome you all to the Hindu and the Businessline analysis on June 22nd, 2022. So, what is in store for today? Let us discuss. The first editorial I am going to discuss with is with regard to the 5G rollout. The 5G rollout was also discussed in the Businessline editorial on last Saturday. So, both the editorials last Saturday in the Business Line and the today's editorial in the Hindu discusses the same two aspects with regard to the 5G rollout. The government is saying more and more digital connectivity is its objective, with the objective keeping in mind the government is going to roll out the 5G services. However, the application of reserve price is a great difficulty for the presently struggling telecom sector with the duopoly. What do you mean by duopoly, my dear friends? Duopoly means the presence of only two service providers in the telecom sector. Today, there are only two telecom service providers. So, what is going to happen is that the telecom sector with its duopoly is already deep neck in debts, and the government announces to introduce a reserve price for them for the spectrum is a cruel objective, my dear friends. It is not enough if the 20-year period is being set for the licenses or the reserve price for the license to be repaid. However, this is a great stumble block or bottleneck in the rollout of the 5G services. Friends, the second thing which the editorial in the Business Line as well as the Hindu discusses is allowing 5G services spectrum to private players, that is, private companies having private networks can buy spectrum in the 5G space. This is not going to Business Line supports this initiative, whereas Hindu condemns this. This will reduce or this will disincentivize the already two giant players in the telecom sector. The public spectrum allocation is the only beneficial rollout of the 5G services. Friends, with the 5G services, we are going to get the Internet of Things. What is this Internet of Things, my dear friends? The Internet of Things is the connection of physical devices like cars, surgery, equipments, and these physical devices are connected through the internet. Suppose we can switch a bulb with the help of a app in the mobile phone. This is called Internet of Things. The personal computers, the PCs and the mobile phones are not the physical devices which is connected through Internet of Things. Only the physical devices which are otherwise impossible to be connected to the net, or if connected through internet, functions as the Internet of Things, my dear friends. With the Internet of Things, we can have self-driving cars, that is, cars without a driver. Telesurgery, most of the equipments in the surgical chamber will work without the physicians or the surgeon's interference. It could be operated with a mobile. Telemedicine, we order or we narrate our disease to the internet through our app, and the net prescribes the medicines. That is telemedicine. So, this revolutionizing Internet of Things 5G services is going to be rolled out, and barring the reserve price and the avenues open for the private players, this is a very good thing which is going to come. Friends, the next article I am going to discuss is with regard to the India's judiciary appointments reforms. The Article 124 of the Indian Constitution states that the President of India shall appoint the every judge of the Supreme Court and the Chief Justice in the Supreme Court. Article 124 also states that every such judge will hold office till the age of 65. Friends, nowadays we witness that Supreme Court Chief Justice is appointed on the basis of seniority. The August term will end for the present Chief Justice of India, N.V. Ramana, and it is time to appoint the incoming Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Going by the seniority, U. Lalit will be appointed as the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. However, there is a rumor going on in the Raisina Hills. The Raisina Hills is the secretariat of the central government, that the age of the Chief Justice is going to be extended up to 67. If that is taken into consideration, Justice U. Lalit will hold office if appointed as the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court for the next 2 years up to 2024. Hope the change comes after this August. The article explains that Chandrachud, who is next in line, will have to wait till 2024 to be appointed as the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Friends, the article also points out that most of the Chief Justices and the judges who retire from the Supreme Court are doing arbitration practice and reaping huge amounts of money from the arbitration practice. The article suggests such shift from arbitration to the matters of national importance like constitutional benches where these judges should be appointed. The article goes on to explain that what is the difference between the High Court judges and the Supreme Court judges. The difference is in the age of retirement. High Court judges can retire by 62 presently, and the Supreme Court judges may retire at the age of 65 presently. So, what is the difference between these two ages? Does it make any kind of logic? Why not High Court judges can also continue till 65? When the judges enter into the Supreme Court, there is competition and some pressure to come up the ladder of the up to the Chief Justice. In its pursuit of this holy grail, the judges of Supreme Court never enter into contentious issues which can put political pressure on the political parties at the power and may affect their ascension. This is what the article is just pointing out, my dear friends. The article also says the first among equals. As per the requirements of the Constitution, The Chief Justices of High Courts can be appointed as the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Why this precedence is not being followed? Why this practice is not being followed? There are very efficient Chief Justices who just retired from Bombay High Court and Madras High Court recently. The article says that there should be a shift from primus super pairs to primus inter pairs. In the present days, the Chief Justices of Supreme Courts are just becoming superior among the equals of other associate judges, that is primus super pairs. The super among the associate judges in the Supreme Court is made the Chief Justice of India, and he is having a fragmented term. This practice should shift from primus super pairs to primus inter pairs, the first among equals. The first among equals should be the leader of the Supreme Court, that is the Chief Justice of India. In it, the article says the Chief Justices of High Courts have a greater chances to be the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court because some Chief Justices have of High Courts have a very excellent impartial record while serving as the High Courts. The article also points out that the seniority among the associates for appointment of as the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court comes from the judge's second case and not from the Constitution. The case of the judge's second case becomes the benchmark for appointment of the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, that is seniority. So, this is a beautiful bouquet of several snippets from the present day practices, and it suggests a role change from the present status to the status required by the judiciary system. Friends, the next article I am going to discuss it with is about the hub airport. India's path towards a hub airport. A hub airport is an airport where there are numerous coming and outgoing flights, that is interconnecting flights. London has a hub airport, Singapore has a hub airport, Hong Kong has a hub airport, but India doesn't have one. In India, there has been a there has been a shift from the separate terminal of arrival and departure airports to the same terminal used for departure and arrival flights. However, there are 34 international airports in India. This is a very big lacuna for a country as large as India. Many of the airports serve for the non operational purposes also, like tourism, culture, and so on. Hence the need for a hub airport, because international community of India, that is the Indian diaspora means those living in foreign countries away from India, is closer to 18 million people. For Indian diaspora, this hub airport concept is very much necessary. The Indian attempt should be to develop the infrastructural facilities at the airports so that the hub airport becomes a. The article says that an airport is a force multiplier. What is a force multiplier? A job in airport gets 6 jobs in tourism and hospitality sector. The hub concept thrives on the wave of incoming flights and a wave of outgoing flights an hour or two later. So, what is nagging the Indian aviation sector? And before considering the plan to roll out the hub airport, these factors must be addressed. India doesn't have airports having to capacity to handle multiple landings in busy times in rush hours. Then the costly aviation fuel is a matter of worry. So cutting the fuel taxes or bringing aviation fuel in the GST is one way out. Another problem is India has only 34 international airports. The other airports are more than neglected than one. And the final blow to the airport aviation expansion in India is the airports are not allotted for non flight operations. So, the tourism and the hospitality sector is not allowed to operate side by side with the airports or the flight services or the aeronautical services. All these issues have to be addressed, and a hub airport is the sine qua non for the aviation sector in India. Friends, the next article I am going to discuss is from the Businessline. It says time for caution. The Indian stock markets have been very much surprising these times. It has fallen and a bear trend is going on. The article begins with a beautiful adage: when the US market sneezes, Indian markets catch flu. Partly true. However, the resilience of the stock market in India the present times has been very much encouraging. The in spite of the foreign portfolio investors outflow of to the tune of $34 billion, Indian Indian stock market has rebounded, and the free fall in the stock market is not so much. Today's newspaper shows a gain in the Sensex, the sensitive index. The Standard and Poor's Nifty has fallen 23% since its January growth. The article says a number of factors are responsible for the resilience. Resilience means bouncing back. That is, Indian economy is slated to grow at a highest among the global averages at 7.75%. And when the foreign portfolio investors exited the market, there has been large number of institutional buys and the net public buys. This has contributed to the deficit created by foreign portfolio investors' exit. The article expresses concern because a large number of demat accounts have been opened for the last 3 years, and many investors are now the first time investors for the past 3 years. What will happen if they are mostly they are investing in mutual funds? What will happen if their holdings land into red if this bear rush continues? India has to address this complacency of the resilience which we can see now. This complacency can be addressed only if, friends, the next article I am going to deal with is the resource transfer from the tax revenues to the states. There are six criteria in resource transfers to the states. One is income disparities. Next is the size of the state. Third is demographics profile. The next is infrastructure index. And the next is tax effort or tax revenues and financial discipline. And the last is forest cover. The article says that the distribution of tax revenues to the states is skewed. Skewed means there is differences, there is variation between the income expectations of the states and the allocation being made. Most of the northeastern states are being better placed because the minimum of 2 points being allotted to every state while making the allocation of tax revenues to the states. So, the states like Gujarat, Tamil Nadu have suffered because despite having greater tax contributions, their compensation through these transfers from the tax revenues is not up to the mark. The article says that most of the Finance Commission recommendations, now it is the 15th Finance Commission, more than 50% of the transfers from center to states is with regard to the income disparity. The backwardness is the main criteria for allotting transfers to most of the states. So Uttar Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, these states are getting most of the transfers. This is a very great disparity